Hey, it's Minute Book Reports, and this is my reading update video for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which is really hard for me to say. It's kind of a hard title, but this is that reading update video. As I go through the book, I'm going to sort of update on some of my thoughts. This is for chapters 1 through 5, and including the prologue, which took me about 2 hours and 30 minutes to read. Last night I was trying to read through chapter 6, but I was so tired I fell asleep. I really like how the author combines two different creative outlets into one book. So the author uses the words, of course, from the novel, the written word, and also photography, which I really like. And some people may comment and say, oh, well, photography, if you just put pictures in the books, it's a picture book, that's lazy. You have to let the reader imagine all these things. But I think it adds a layer of authenticity to what is somewhat of a historic sort of element to this book, because we're combining not just the present day, but we're also sort of pulling from the historic events of World War II, which is important, and any type of artifacts that you have. And I feel like pictures are an important part of this story, not just from the grandfather to Jacob, but also from I guess that trunk that he opens that has all these photographs. And I feel like photographs are important, and I'm glad that they're a part of this book. You know, I could imagine a little girl floating without having to see the actual photo, or the girl with the double reflection, or the bees, and all these different things. I can imagine that as the reader. But the fact that they're included in the book makes it that much more real for me as the reader. And what I like about what the author does is I find it very easy to fall into Jacob's character in this story, and that's what makes it a very compelling read for me. You know, it's sort of like you're sucked in and you're drawn in, and you're just like in this like mindset of, oh, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And I really appreciate that. You know, there's not that many stories that can do that, where the author can get the readers to want to find out what's next. You know, I know that it's been a while since I read Harry Potter. Harry Potter sort of does that, but it's a little bit challenging because there's so many chapters, right? That you can just put down the book and be like, oh, well, the next chapter's only like 4 pages long. It's no big deal. I can just stop right here. At least that was my experience. I never felt compelled to continue reading. I was interested in the book, but I never felt like I had to continue reading all the time. With this book, that's what I experienced now. And maybe I would experience that with Harry Potter and other series if I read it now, but all I can comment on is what I experienced now. And it was this draw to want to continue to read, to want to continue to find out what's going to happen. And I really feel like that's because we're very much put into Jacob's character early on, where we care about what he cares. And we don't know all the answers because he doesn't know all the answers, but we're finding out together, and that's exciting to me. You know, it's a very slow progression. You know, there's no real villain in the story yet. It's more about this mystery. You know, the grandfather put out this mission for Jacob, and he has to figure out what it is. And as he continues to investigate more and more and more, it slowly unravels. You know, and maybe I just haven't read a good mystery story in a while. I don't know, but it's very well done. It's very well done. And I've gotten to the part where they're talking about, I guess, the children with like the superpowers, or even the adults with the superpowers. And it reminds me a lot about X-Men and how X-Men, there's that school for like the gifted, and, you know, Professor Xavier, he gets to teach them how to use their powers. And I don't know if that's what this orphanage is like, or if she's more of just a guardian, just watching over them, protecting them. I'm not sure what her role is, Miss Peregrine's role is in all of this, but it reminded me of that as I was sort of getting into the story. And I'm looking forward to seeing if Jacob gets some sort of ability. I assume that he will, because they mentioned in the book that it skips a generation. So I assume that the grandfather had some kind of ability, or else he wouldn't have been there. And then they said it skips a generation, so that would be his dad, Jacob's father. And then it would land on Jacob. And so I'm very interested to finding out what his ability is going to be. I mean, he's already like 15 years old, so it's kind of late. But if I guess he didn't know about it, maybe he never experienced that. Who knows? But that's what we get to find out. And I'm hoping that it's some sort of strong ability, but not anything that's totally overpowered. You know, that he will be the one. You know, we see that a lot with you know, things like Harry Potter, the sort of hero's journey type of story, right? Where there's just the one, and maybe he's gonna be that one. But what I'm really hoping for is that he'll find like a group of friends or another group of like super friends, I guess, and they'll kind of be able to battle whatever that darkness is going to be, or whatever the bad guy is going to be. Again, I have no idea if it's just going to be a mystery story and just sort of growing up, understanding, coming of age of Jacob, where he just understands his grandfather a little bit more, or is he actually going to have to fight in this big battle world that he never thought that ever existed, because he didn't know about these people. So we'll see. I'm very much excited about this story, but the story does a lot of great things, and I appreciate that. Again, my expectations were somewhat high, but I wasn't really expecting much. I just thought this would be a nice read. You know, after reading Shakespeare, I thought I'd read something kind of fun, and now I'm in. You know, I'm interested, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that feeling of wanting to be in there in that book, and I hope other people can feel that too. You know, it comes with patience. It comes with time. I think you have to get at least a chapter, maybe 2 or 3, and then you kind of get what's going on, because you're introduced to this kid, and you're kind of like, wow, this kid's kind of a jerk. You know, he's not a good person. You know, he's a terrible worker, and then things change. You know, and for Jacob, he has to change. And that's what we like. We like to see our main characters have to change, and I am particularly interested in the fact that he's choosing the right way to change. You know, when people get confronted with news of like that is so big, like superpowers, you know, or being trapped in time in 1940, they can be resistant to it. They can be angry and upset and just offended by the fact that they didn't know. But Jacob is sort of embracing this. He's trying to understand it, and he accepts that. He's always wanted to believe, I think, in stuff like this because of the grandfather and the stories that were sort of told to him when he was younger. But now he gets to really appreciate that because it's happening around him in I guess, real time. So I guess maybe relative time in this story because of the time travel element. But anyway, so those are my thoughts on this book. I really enjoyed it, and I am enjoying it. So I look forward to reading the next bunch. Hopefully I can get through maybe the next half of the book at least, but we'll see. It's going to be a long week for me. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.